Hey guys, welcome back. This time I'm going to show you guys how to do basic arithmetic operations in Python. So last time we took a look at the different data types in Python, and that includes numbers, which can be either integers or floating point numbers or floats. Numbers would obviously be very useless if you could not do math with them. So in this video, I'll be showing you guys how to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all those basic things that we can run through real quick. And then I'll show you guys how to do some other stuff like modulus, exponentation, floor division, which is a slight variation of regular division, order of operations within Python, because that's important to know. And then I'll show you guys how to do assignment operators, which is a shorthand way of doing math operations. And then finally, we'll just end the episode with an exercise of how to calculate the area of a circle, something very simple that we can use. All right, let's get started. So to do math in Python, it's really easy. You could do something as simple as 1 plus 2, just simply add two numbers, and then you could print it out directly if you wanted to. Or you could take it and put it into a variable. So you could say sum is equal to 1 plus 2. So you could store the result of this math operation here in a variable, you could print it, you can put it wherever you want that a number is allowed. But for now, since this is the only two things that we know how to do, that's what I'm showing here. So let's run this, see what we get. There we go, we get 3, obviously, looks good. So you can make this whatever you want, as big as you want. We can run this again. There we go, we get that big number. You can make it negative, so you can add a negative to a positive and you get a negative number because the negative number is bigger. Everything that you would expect that you can do with math, you can pretty much just do it. It's not complex at all. It's very simple. So these right now are just integers because they're whole numbers like we learned about. But you could also do floating point numbers if you want to. So for example, we could do 1 plus 2.0, and that gives us 3. And then if you want to, you could also do it here. So we could do this giant number, 0.34, literally whatever you want. Let's run it. And we get another giant negative number, 0.66. Okay, cool. You can also add together floating point numbers or floats. So you can do 1.0 plus 2.0 and you still get 3.0. There you go, 3.0. You can add some decimal points to it. It'll add that, no problem. Easy peasy. So that's addition in Python. You can also do subtraction. So you can do print 3 minus 1 and you should get 2. Let's run it. There we go, we get 2. You could do 1 minus 2 and you should get negative 1. There you go, you get negative 1. That's easy. So now we'll move on to multiplication. Multiplication is the same exact thing. It uses the asterisk symbol. I think that's how you say asterisk, asterisk. But it's the symbol on the 8 key, the little star. So 2 times 8, we should get 16. There we go, 16. We can do negative numbers if you want to. Negative 16, we could do floating point numbers. So 2.0 times negative 8, we get negative 16.0. Easy peasy. We can also do division. So division is done using the slash. So we could do 10 divided by 2. So that's the little slash symbol. Let's run it. There we go, we get 5.0. Let's see what happens when you divide by a number that does not divide evenly into 10. So you can't do 10 divided by 3 and get a whole number. It's a decimal number. Let's run it. There we go, we get 3.3333335. Awesome, great. So something different about division is that even though we're using two integer whole numbers here, the result of this will always be a floating point number. So this will always be 5.0. That's just how it works within Python. Whenever you use the division symbol to do division, the result of it will always be a float, even if you're using integer whole numbers, okay? All right, so those are the basic math operations that you should always be familiar with, hopefully. I really hope to God that you know what those are. And then you also have modulus. So modulus is a lesser known one, but all that means is that to get the remainder. Modulus is simply getting the remainder. So if we were to do, let's just say we do 10 modulus, which is done by the percent sign 2, this would be the same thing as saying divide 10 by 2 and give me the remainder of that. Now we know that 2 divides evenly into 10, so that would be 5. There is no remainder. So if we run this, we should get 0. There we go, we get 0. But if we were to take this and paste it down here and change it to 3, we know that 3 obviously does not divide evenly into 10, as we saw above with this one, with division. So this will give us the remainder of that operation. So let's run it and see what we get. There we go, we get 1. So 3 can go up to 10, so 3 times 3 is 9, and the remainder is 1, because there's 1 left over, so the result of this is 1. So it simply gives you the remainder. All right, the next one is exponentation, or just simply getting the exponent. So if you want to do 2 squared, we could do 2 asterisk asterisk 2, like that. That's 2 squared. If we want to do 2 cubed, or 2 to the power of 3, it'd be 3 instead. So the exponent is literally just whatever number comes after the double asterisk, okay? So 2 cubed is going to be 8, right? So if we run this, we get 8, nice. If we copy this and change it to floating point numbers, we get 8.0. Let's run it. There we go, we get 8.0. All right, so that's exponentation. The next one is called floor division. Floor division is the same as division that we did above, just regular division, except that it chops off the decimal point. So it always gives you a whole number. So for this one, 10 divided by 3, this would give you 3.3333. This would just chop off anything after the decimal point and just give you 3. That's all it is. So let's check it out. Let's do print, and let's just say we'll do 3 divided by 2. And so that gives us 1.5 if we do regular division, but to do floor division, we do double slash, and this gives us just 1. There we go. If we change it to 10//3, we should just get 3, like I said. There we go, we get 3. All right, those are the basic math operations that you can do in Python, the arithmetic operations. So we learned about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, which is getting the remainder, exponentation, which is getting the power of something, exponents, and then we have floor division, which is just doing division but truncating the decimal point, so only getting a whole number as the result. So we saw that generally speaking, whenever you have an integer and an integer, it gives you an integer, except for the exception of division, right? Where it always gives you a floating point number. And then if you do a float and a float, it gives you a float. That makes sense, right? But what happens when you mix together an integer and a float in your operation? So these are all the different kinds of operations that we can do. So the answer is whenever you mix an integer and float, the result is a float. It's just something interesting to keep in mind. All right, the next thing is order of operations. So now that we know how to do math within Python, we need to know the order of operations that math is done whenever you mix together a bunch of arithmetic into one expression. So what I mean by that is, let's say we have result is equal to, within this we could keep it simple. We could do 23 plus 4. That's just a simple adding operation. But what if we also do minus 45 times 78? So now you're doing a bunch of math arithmetic operations in one single expression that at the end of the day gets evaluated into one number and stored into results. So the great thing is that if you've learned about order of operations in school, it's the same exact thing for Python. So it's PEMDAS, which stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication slash division, and then addition slash subtraction. That's the order that math is done within a math expression. All this means is that if you have a math expression like this is the order that the operations are done in to give you the final result. So I'll get rid of that and let's just start simple. So we can do result 1 is equal to, let's just say 2 plus 3 times 4. So since multiplication and division have a higher precedence than addition and subtraction, the way that this will work is simply going to be 3 times 4, which is 12, plus 2, which is 14. So we could print out result 1 and we should get 14. So it's not 2 plus 3, which is 5, times 4, which is 20. It's 4 times 3, 12, plus 2, 14. So that's the order in which it should be done. However, if you take this and you add parentheses, so let's put a parentheses around the 2 and the 3, this makes it so that operation is done first because parentheses has the highest precedence. So it's 2 plus 3, which is 5, times 4, which is 20. Let's run it. There we go, we get 20. Here's a more complex example. Just try doing the math in your head and seeing if you can figure it out. So the way I like to do it is just, using PEMDAS, knowing the order of which things go, you can put parentheses around things to indicate which one will be done first. So first of all, there's no parentheses inside of here already, so we don't have to keep that in mind. The next thing is exponents. So we see an exponent being done here, so we can surround this in parentheses. Next thing we have is multiplication and division. We see that here, so that would be another thing. And the last thing is addition and subtraction, so we can surround the entire thing with the parentheses. So this is another way of explicitly saying how the operation will be done. So these first two ones here will be done independently. So 10 divided by 2, 5, and then 3 squared, which is 9. So 5 plus 9, 14. Let's run it. There we go, get 14. And here's a tricky question. Why is it 14 as a float and not a integer number? Because we're only using integers here. It's because in this expression here, we did a division. So 10 divided by 2, we know that division always gives us a floating point number. So since we have introduced a floating point number here, 5.0, the entire thing will be a float when you evaluate it. Okay, the next thing I want to teach you guys about are assignment operators, which is simply a shorthand way or shortcuts for doing common math operations that we have just learned about. So let me show you what I mean. So let's just say we have the variable x and it has the initial value of 5, and then we want to increase x by 3. We learned that we can reassign a variable by doing x is equal to x plus 3, right? Or if you wanted to, you could do 5 plus 3, but it makes more sense to use the current value of x and then add it by 3 to get the new result, which should be 8, right? So if we print this, we get 8, obviously. There we go, we get 8. So what I'm going to do is copy this and just comment it out, and I'll paste the new line. And then what I'm going to do is show you the shortcut of this same line here. So we could do the same exact thing as this by just simply doing plus equals. So this slightly shorter piece of code does the same exact thing as this piece of code here. So it's simply adding on to the current value of the x variable by 3, we should get 8. There we go, we get 8. So that's for adding, and then for all the other operations, it's the same exact thing. So for subtraction, you could do y is equal to y minus 4, or you could just simply do y minus equals 4, and that does the same thing. So same as this here, and that should give you 6. Multiplication, instead of doing z is equal to z times 5, it's just z times equals 5. Same thing for division, slash equals, modulus, percent sign equals, exponentation, double asterisk equals, and then for floor division, it's double slash equals. So those are assignment operators, which are just shortcuts for doing math on variables within Python, okay? It's good to know things like that. It can make your code a little bit more concise and clean. So the last thing to teach you guys about is just, we're gonna do an exercise here, okay? So the exercise, I just want you to attempt on your own like we did before. And what we're gonna do is calculate the area of a circle. So I'll give you the formula. Area of a circle is equal to pi times r squared, okay? I know this is a very simple exercise, but I just want you guys to use what you learned in this episode to do this, okay? So you can actually use the math operations that you just learned about to calculate something. So I'll just leave it here. So I'm going to leave it here. I want you guys to pause the video, just try doing it on your own, and then resume the video. All right, let's do it. So we're going to start with a radius of 5, and then we're going to start with pi. So there's a built-in way to do pi in Python, but I'll be showing you guys that in a future episode. So for now, we'll just do simply 3.14 stored in a variable called pi. Now for the area itself, we see the formula up here. So it's simply area is equal to pi times, and now we need r squared. So it'll be radius double asterisk 2. And that's it. That's literally it. Now we can print out the area of a circle with radius, whatever the variable has here, which is 5, is, and then the area that we calculated. Let's run it and see what we get. There we go, we get 78.5. Now if you want to, I kind of like to do this, you could surround this with parentheses to make it more readable. It's optional just because we know that exponent has a higher order of operation precedence than multiplication. So even if this is not here, it'll still execute in the same way, but this just makes it more explicit what is going to be happening. So when I'm going over this code for the first time or coming back to it, I can read it a little bit faster. It just makes more sense. But that is it for this episode, everybody. I know it's kind of long, but that is how you can do arithmetic operations in Python. We learned about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponentation, floor division, just going over what happens when you mix int and float, order of operations within Python, assignment operators so that we can do little shortcuts when we're changing the values of variables with arithmetic, and then finally we did our little challenge to calculate the area of a circle. I really hope this video was informative and you learned a lot. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.